Hello.
Hello.
Is anyone here?
Just one person. One of the
Nice.
volunteer teachers, though, not one of the university instructors.
All right.
So, yeah. I'll let him in, I guess.
Okay, I can share screen.
But yeah.
Get started.
Okay, hello.
No, teacher.
Why isn't it loading? Oops. Okay, so we're going to be looking at essential questions as part of goals. Participants will be able to write thought-provoking essential questions. Okay, so I think everyone here knows the community guidelines, so I'm not going to go over them. Oh yeah, I noticed this with the other class. She forgot to check that her name was already there. Just 1 second. And I forgot to put it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so my name is Lisa, and I will be doing this training. My co-host is Kathleen. Kathleen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Kathleen. Like Lisa said, I'm her co-host and I help make all the slides for these trainings.
Okay, how well can you write essential questions? So this is looking at backwards design. So not at all, a little bit, somewhat, quite well, or extremely well. So show of fingers on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Or you can type in the chat box. Okay, 2, 3. Okay. In your own words, what does essential mean? You can either tell me in the chat box or just let me know. If something is essential, what does that mean? Important, relevant, vital. Necessary. Yes, definitely. Yeah, so that's what essential means. And what are learning goals? We've talked about this in the last few classes. What are learning goals? So broad statements of what students will be able to do at the end of a unit or course. It highlights the most important themes and big ideas of the lessons, helps the teacher focus their planning. And so as part of this, what are essential questions? This is a big part if you do backwards design. Thought-provoking and relevant general questions, yeah. So thought-provoking and relevant questions, likely to be related to real-life answers, requires course content to answer. There's not one correct answer, cannot be Googled, and different people will have different answers. So this is kind of an overarching question related to your whole course. Like what answer, what question or answer kind of will your course solve? Why are essential questions important? They foster student inquiry, so they allow students to see what kind of solutions they are looking for as part of that course. Teach students to support their ideas. Teaches students how to engage with people who think differently. So essential question in a history class. What is worth fighting for and who decides? So what, if we look back on history, what is worth fighting for and who decides what is worth fighting for? So if you look back at the history of Myanmar, what has been in the past worth fighting for and who has decided what's worth fighting for? In a math course, how can I simplify this into a more familiar and easy to work with problem? So how can you simplify this math problem? And that's a big thing, obviously, that happens in math classes, is that you're always simplifying or trying to break them down into easier steps. Okay. In a literature course, what is the relationship between fiction and truth? So if you have a literature course, especially on fiction, and it involves fiction classes, what is the relationship between these fiction books and truth? Essential question in science courses. How should we evaluate a scientific claim? So how do you evaluate if a scientific claim is correct or not? Anthropology. How can I explore and describe cultures without stereotyping them? An art class. Do artists have a responsibility to their audiences? Do audiences have a responsibility to artists? So kind of like, what is the relationship between an artist and their audience? Okay, so we're going to do a poll on the screen. Click if it is an essential question or a knowledge-based question. You will have 1 minute to do so. What is a linear equation? Just 1 second. Is this an essential question or a knowledge-based question? I'll give you 1 minute to answer. Okay, I think everyone's answered. Sorry. So yes, that is a knowledge-based question. How should government balance the rights of individuals with the common good? Is this an essential question or a knowledge-based question? I think everyone's answered now. So yes, this is an essential question. It might be answered in different ways by different people in different cultures, and it is considered in real life. This is something you might think about in real life. What is the pattern? So looking at something, and what is the pattern in what you are seeing? So this is an essential question because although there might be one answer in some contexts, like in a math class, there might be one context, but there might be different areas in life where you will use this with different answers. And this might happen in real life. What is the pattern in this situation? How does this keep repeating over and over again? What is the pattern in Myanmar regarding the military and protesting? You know, so it's like thinking about what are the patterns in what you're seeing, what's similar, what's different, what's repeating over and over again. So this, in that way, it can be an essential question. Why is punctuation important? Knowledge-based, yes. So there's kind of a correct or incorrect answer to this. It's only relevant in reading and writing, not in the general sense. How does the body turn food into energy? Is this an essential question or knowledge-based question? Okay. So yes, this is knowledge-based. Whose story is this? Whose voices aren't we hearing? So is this an essential question or a knowledge-based question? Yes, so this is an essential question. Okay. When writing essential questions, you start with the phrase, students will keep considering, and then have the question. So criteria for essential questions. The essential question causes genuine and relevant inquiry. So it really makes people think, not just looking for an answer, but really think about it. What is their opinion on this? What are their thoughts on this? The essential question provokes deep thought, lively discussion, inquiry, and even more questions. So it's not just a right, wrong, knowledge-based answer. It has people really consider and think about it. The essential question requires students to consider alternatives. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. To weigh evidence. So this kind of shows this, maybe this shows this, maybe this. What do you think is most important? And support their answers with evidence. The essential question stimulates rethinking of assumptions and prior knowledge. So you really have to think about what new knowledge do you have? What about your prior knowledge that you already have? The essential question sparks meaningful connection with the content and personal experiences. So people will draw from their personal experiences, from their culture, from evidence and facts and information, other people's opinions, that type of thing. The essential question naturally occurs in real life. It is not only in the classroom, it is something that someone might consider in real life, creating an opportunity for transfer. Okay. In groups, you will write essential questions for HETT University. Use Pear Deck to record your work. If you have questions or technical difficulties, you can send us a message or hit the help button. So I'll send the Pear Deck link in the chat. So that is the Pear Deck. If you have any issues accessing it, please let me know. It's the same 3 from before. You have 15 minutes to write 3 essential questions in your group. If you finish early, you can come back. So I'll make one class, 15 minutes, and you can come back if you finish early. And if you need help, hit the help button. Finished.
Finish.
Okay, I'll close the room.
Mara tutorialနဲ့ပြီးသွားတာလေ
မိတို့2ယောက်ပဲရှိရနဲ့တူလား
ဟုတ် teacher ရှိလား
ကျမကြောက်6ယောက်ရှိ
Okay. So let's look at some of the answers. The only thing I can see is, remember, these are essential questions. So I noticed that you kind of wrote them as sentences. So make sure to write them as questions. So let's look. Let's see how we could change these maybe into questions, but keep them the same. So I'm going to use the annotate tool. So you had written, students will keep considering the application of social media and online advertising in people's day-to-day life. So maybe we could change that into a question, like, maybe how social media and online advertising can be applied in people's day-to-day life. How? Yeah, something like that. Or how can digital marketing skills be best applied in people's day-to-day life? Next one. Oh yeah, I'll have to clear that. Just so I can go to the next mouse. There we go. So the same thing here, it just needs turned into a question, I think. Students will keep considering the the types of engineering, or maybe the kinds of engineering that best fit their occupation, or we could say maybe, or task at hand. I'll keep considering, how do we change that into a question? What are the kinds of engineering or are the, well, we'll leave it mostly the same. What are the right kinds of engineering that best fit their occupation? I'll just keep it mostly the same. Okay, good. And last one. Okay, again, let's think of how we can change this into a question. Maybe what
are the, yeah, what is the relationship?
Yeah. I think this needs slightly changed. What is this relationship between, you could maybe do it like, what is the relationship between poetry from the 19th century and the everyday lives of people nowadays, or something? Like how is it relevant now? I think you could kind of ask that. Okay, I'll clear that. Okay. So think about a course that you're teaching, and I'll just give you 1 or 2 minutes to do this. See if you can think of an essential question for one of the courses that you are teaching. So I'll give you 2 minutes. You can just type it in the chat box if you want to write what the topic of your course is and then the essential question, just so people can know what the topic is. Okay, that's all we have for. Anyone else want to? I'll give 1 more minute for anyone else who wants to write down an answer. Just 1 more minute. Since we still have lots of time. Okay, let's stop there. So I'm just going to ask Thet Noise in, which subject do you teach? I'm just curious, do you teach English or Burmese? Or a different language?
English skills, yeah.
English skills.
English language, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I think that would work. You might want to make it a little bit, because it's about English, maybe mention English. So how do you think English language skills are essential for real life situations? So I think that could be a good one. And Zinmar Thwal, what subjects do you teach?
Yes, I teach English.
English as well, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so what do we know as fact and opinion? Or yeah, like how do we decide what is fact and opinion?
Yes, and some IETS foundation I have to teach for first year. At this time, and IETS, we just have to teach them what is facts or what is opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's, I think that's good because sometimes there's not a clear divide. But then if it's just knowledge, like, oh, this is what a fact is, this is what an opinion is, then maybe it's not, that's more knowledge based. But if you get them to really think about it and to really like have them think about where do you draw that line, where do you decide to draw that line, and really get them to.
We usually puzzle with the with some area. In some IELTS reading passage some of the reading passage it is asking about true or false statement, but in other paragraph it is asking about yes or no statement. At this time, the student really confused with this. They usually ask me, one is the two statement are not the same, like true or false or yes or no. What are the differences? They usually ask me. I think it depends on the facts and opinion because if the author is telling about the facts, so we need to say it is true or false. But for the only state about the his or her opinion. So at this time we need to write yes or no question. Answer, yeah.
You could also maybe apply or think of a question like broader than your course, in that you might say like something like, how does knowing the difference between facts and opinions apply to everyday life, or something like that? Like how might this be useful outside of the classroom?
Yes, teacher.
And same with maybe how can we rephrase a paragraph to our own words? That might be a little bit too classroom focused. So thinking more about like more around what is the reason for writing this paragraph, or why is learning how to rephrase a paragraph important? So thinking beyond just the classroom a little bit. What is the difference
I
between?
think when we want to check their understanding at this time, it is at this time we need to ask the student to rephrase the paragraph.
Yeah. I mean, that would be more checking. Yeah, that would be more checking for understanding, which I think would be more knowledge based. And this is more like not just in your classroom, but it also kind of, if before we talked about transfer goals, so you kind of also thinking about beyond the classroom. How would this be useful beyond the classroom? So what can you consider beyond the classroom? So like a question like, what is worth fighting for? Who decides? It's, you discuss it in class, but say with like the coup, it's something that's useful. Who decides what's worth fighting for? When there's a coup in Myanmar, who makes that decision? Who decides what is worth it? So it's not just classroom based, it's applicable outside as well. What is the relationship between fiction and truth? Again, it's in the classroom, but it's also important to consider outside the classroom. So it's kind of looking at things that are beyond just the classroom. The last one, yeah, same. No, I can't see it. Oh, there. What is the difference between Bloom's taxonomy and other learning theories? So again, I think maybe this is a little bit too focused on knowledge, a little bit, and not enough on outside of the classroom. So if you can kind of think of more of, what could you say? You could do something about learning theories, I think, though, like how can learning theories be useful useful for teachers, or how are learning theories useful for students? How can Bloom's taxonomy help us to better structure our lessons while we are teaching? Or how can Bloom's taxonomy help students develop 21st century skills? So it's thinking not just in the classroom, but beyond the classroom. Yeah, so again, if you look here, so if you had an art class, it would be relevant in an art class, but it might also be relevant if a student were to visit a museum or an art gallery or see some art. So it's beyond just the classroom. You want them to think about, in the real world, what questions might they be asking themselves? Okay, so how well can you write essential questions? Not at all, a little bit, somewhat, quite well, or extremely well. So on the count of 3, either fingers or hands. I know this is kind of difficult. So if not, that's okay. 3, yeah. So it's just trying to think of more, I guess in a way, it's trying to think of more like critical thinking questions and how related to the kind of the transfer goals in a way, in that you're thinking beyond the classroom and having your students think critically about a situation. Okay, so we're going to cancel class for the next 2 weeks. So we won't have any classes for 2 weeks. And then we will after that. So we're going to stop there. So thank you very much, everyone. And goodbye.
Yeah, also thank Thank you, teacher, because we got a lot of knowledge from this class. Yeah. We really like this class. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
We hope to see you again, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye
thank
bye.
you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.